Hey, everybody. Welcome to Gross Anatomy. What do we do at Gross Anatomy, Lauren?
We explore the sights, smells, and sounds of medicine and how it pertains to pop culture, meaning
Movies,
books,
TV.
movies, TV. And today we're going to discuss all of it because we're going to do a best of episode.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Very excited. Very excited. And you've already got your holiday bear sweater on.
Let me zoom out a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I just want to do a little recap. Okay, so last episode was our chef episode. But before that, we briefly discussed James Van Der Beek and how he was diagnosed with stage 3 colorectal cancer.
Yeah.
And I recently saw on social media he was like selling his jerseys from the Varsity Blues jerseys, the movie he was in. He was like selling like autographed ones to help fund his treatment.
Wow.
Yeah, because I mean, now that I think about it, I don't think he's been in a lot, but he said the money raised will go to helping people's treatment, including his own. So wow. I know that. Yeah.
That's interesting. I mean, you have to wonder, does he have insurance or not? You would think as an actor, he would have SAG insurance, which is pretty good.
Yeah, I know SAG. Yeah, I would figure that too. I don't know how good their insurance is, but yes.
It's pretty decent. It's usually pretty decent. So I don't know. Maybe he lost his insurance or something. Who knows? But usually, if you're insured or if decent insurance, usually it's not a break the bank kind of thing. But I don't know. I don't know. Maybe he's doing some kind of alternative therapies. Who knows what? I'm not totally sure.
Yeah. So my question was going to be, have you ever had patients where you tell them what kind of treatment they need and they're like, I can't afford it, I'm not going to do it? Has that ever happened to you?
You know, right now I have a patient. It's weird you say that. I have a patient who has really bad insurance, has some form of insurance, but it's really bad. And the problem with that insurance is you're stuck kind of dealing with the system that accommodates that insurance. You know, you can't get treated at certain hospitals. You can't get treated at certain facilities. You can't get scans timely. You can't get your workup timely. Certain doctors won't treat you. So that's an issue. And the patient knew that coming in to see me. So I don't know what, and I'm trying to send the person to someone who I know is really good at dealing with those insurances, and they even didn't go see that person. So that sometimes happens. What's worse is sometimes, I think I've told this story. It's a gross anatomy story. Is that I still remember years ago we had this woman, a lovely woman with breast cancer. This is probably more than 20 years ago, who came into the clinic. I was running the breast cancer clinic back then. And had very treatable cancer, breast cancer, very treatable, but the treatment would have been a lumpectomy, you know, removing part of the breast, but saving the breast, and then radiation, and maybe needing chemo. I don't even remember at this point, but very treatable. And sure enough, the patient decided that she wanted to do alternative therapy, which I'm totally a fan of. I'm not against alternative therapy as long as you're doing it with standard therapy. And she went off and kind of disappeared, and then came back months later, having tried this alternative therapy, which was basically some kind of salve or cream or ointment, I don't know what, that basically was just causing horrible, horrendous burns to her breast. So she came in with a badly burned and now infected and fungating breast because that's all she was doing. And now at that point, in addition to it making a mess of her breast, it had now spread a little bit because it was months later. So whereas she didn't want to do, you know, surgery or radiation, which would have saved her breast and everything, now she needed a mastectomy because her breast was basically destroyed, and she needed aggressive chemotherapy. So it was really, and then we treated her for a while. So I would see her and I would see how, you know, the disappointment on her face, the happiness that she was alive and going to be okay, but the disappointment that she, you know, had she just listened. So I always remember that story and think about that story. And she was great. And I hope she's still around. You know, it's been years and years, but that I've seen that more often
Okay.
than yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know where you were going with that because I know you've had a patient that went for alternative treatment and ended up dying. So this patient still was able to be saved, which is great. And we talked about Bob Marley, people that, choose not to get the treatment that they need.
Right. Right.
But then as far as patients that like can't afford it, have you ever had patients that do like GoFundMe or like any kind of like fundraisers that they try to get you involved in or anything like that?
I recently had a patient that didn't really have coverage for me. Had coverage for the hospital and the surgery, but I basically did the surgery for free, just because I wanted to take care of them. So I've had that. I've taken care of people for free, or minimal kind of expenses, but I haven't had GoFundMe directly patients, but it's definitely a thing, and I've seen it, and I've probably over the years contributed to some. Have you had experience with like just knowing people who have done that?
No, I haven't actually.
Yeah, but you definitely see it and hear about it. But I personally, I'm trying to think. I can't recall off the top of my head.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of liked James Vanderbeek's honesty, though. He was like, it's going to go to, the money's going to go to people needing treatment, including my own. So I was like,
yeah,
be honest.
Yeah, no, that's an interesting thing for sure. Although I know we're going to talk about the Christopher Reeves movie, right? Is that a whole other episode, or are we going to talk about it today a little bit?
Well, I haven't watched it, but if you want to talk about it a little bit, but that could also be a whole nother episode.
Yeah, well, briefly, I watched the documentary, and they even talk about the cost of, because he, was a celebrity, theoretically did really well, but the cost of his health care was enormous. And they touched upon it a little bit in the movie, but they didn't go deep into it. So I don't recall exactly where they were going with that, but I think they were just talking about, the care of someone in a wheelchair is enormous. And just the amount of caregiving and the chair and everything. And so that was an interesting thing, having just watched the movie.
Well, I do want to watch that. That's on HBO Max. It's like in their top 10 right now. But that's interesting because Alan T. Brown, who your friend, who's also a quadriplegic?
Yeah, he's a high functioning quadriplegic. Yeah.
Knew Christopher Reeve and started a foundation with him. So they've done tons of stuff for people with disabilities.
Right.
But when
I correct you. The Christopher Reeves he had his own parallel foundation, the Alan T. Brown Foundation, and then there's the Christopher Reeves Foundation, and they kind of wrapped his foundation into Alan's foundation, and then Alan actually still works for that foundation. I think he helps run the foundation now and is very involved in the foundation. And actually, he was the one who alerted us, my friends and I, about the movie, and he was there at the event, and actually my sister and a bunch of friends showed up to the premiere.
That's great. Yeah, that's what it was. But
yeah.
When we interviewed him, which people should check out our Alan T. Brown interview if they haven't,
amazing, yeah,
a few years ago. But I never thought to ask him about the cost of everything.
Yeah, and it's definitely, talking to him, it's definitely a challenge. It really is a challenge. And then you're always battling the insurance companies who are always trying to deny coverage. They're always trying to limit your coverage or deny your coverage or so it's a constant fight and a battle about care, and that's really a challenge. I mean, that's what insurance should be for, not the regular doctor's visit. We should, the doctor's visit, we should be paying out of pocket theoretically, but insurance should be the thing that covers that kind of stuff. That's really what the insurance business should be for.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother episode too.
Whole other episode. There you go.
Yeah, there's a lot there. But this episode, we kind of wanted to make a little bit more fun because it's the end of the year, the best of.
We need to spin it a little positive here.
Yeah, and we started back up in November, so I haven't really gotten your thoughts on a lot of entertainment this year. So I wanted to kind of dive into that with you.
I love it. Let's dive in.
All right. First of all, I wanted to ask you a quick question. What do you think the perfect movie length is?
Oh, wow. The perfect movie. You know, I gotta tell you, I really don't think it has anything to do with the amount of time of the movie. It has to do with how good the movie is and how you feel in that movie. You know, if it's a long movie and you don't even realize it's a long movie, that's perfect. If it's a short movie and it's crap, it doesn't matter. Like I saw Marcel the Shell. Did you ever see the movie Marcel the Shell?
No, I saw the preview though. It looked cute.
Yeah, I guess it was, but I saw it with my daughter up at. I was up in college with her, and we went to go see it, the two of us. And I don't think it was a very long movie in the scheme of movies, but to me, it seemed like the longest movie ever because I thought it was agony. I thought it would have been a good like little short film, but it wasn't a short film. It was a whole movie, and that was probably seemed like one of the longest movies ever. So I don't know. And people liked it. So I apologize to all of you. And I think even my daughter, Hannah, didn't hate it. I think she didn't like it because I was so not into it.
Mm-hmm.
But in my mind, that might have been one of the longest movies ever.
You're okay. It's okay not to like something.
Thank you.
Like you get it.
Do you have what are your thoughts on length of movies?
Well, there was just an article recently. I think it was in The Guardian. Or it said that 92 minutes was like the perfect movie length because you don't need to take bathroom or food breaks. Like that's like the amount of time people can handle. Yeah. And I think that's really my husband. Like he like Killers of the Flower Moon. He knew how long that was going to be. He was kind of dreading it, and I think he really felt it when we were watching it. He didn't.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
You know what's funny? We just saw Gladiator 2 in the movies, and I thought it was good. I thought it was good.
Well, I don't know about your Gladiator experience, but mine was at AMC, and they literally had 30 minutes of trailers and previews too, which is not cool and won't help a movie length.
You know what? I don't agree with you.
You don't? I usually like trailers. These were terrible.
I love one of my favorite things about going to the movies is watching previews.
I saw Civil War, which I don't know if you would like or not.
I didn't see it.
In the theaters. It's with Kirsten Dunst. That was probably one of my favorite films. It was about photojournalists, and I thought it was really cool.
You know what I surprisingly liked, and I saw it on an airplane, was Daredevil versus Wolverine. I didn't expect to really like it, but it was a lot of fun. I think because I had low expectations for it, and I just found they had a lot of fun talking about referencing Fox and Disney, and Ryan Reynolds is great. He's just ridiculous. Did you see it?
No, explain it to me as someone who just really started to hate the Marvel movies. Why would I like this one?
Because they kind of make fun of the Marvel movies in it. That's what's really fun about it. Especially if you hate the Marvel movies, there's like so many tie-ins and talkabouts and the guy who plays Captain America, what's his name? God, I feel terrible. The guy who plays Captain America, I will look it up.
Chris Evans?
Yes, Chris Evans is in it. And in addition to the fact that he plays Captain America, he was in the original Fantastic Four that kind of was a bomb of a movie. And you think, and they had him in the movie, and you think he's going to be Captain America, but they had him in the movie as Johnny Flame on, the Flame guy from. So that was funny. And Ryan Reynolds was all excited. He's like, "Oh, Captain America!" And then it turns out he's Johnny from the Fantastic Four. So it was a lot of like silly stuff like that. And they had like old characters come back from old Marvel movies. So it was kind of, and again, they kept making fun of Disney and Fox and it was very not PG, which was kind of fun too. It was very not a Disney movie, which Marvel to some degree, has become a little bit. So Ryan Reynolds was a lot of fun. So that's why I thought they did a really good job.
Well, so those were some of our favorite movies. The critics had a few movies that do have like a little bit of a medical spin, like their top movies, and I don't think we've seen any of them. But one is called A Different Man. Have you heard of this? A Different Man.
Remind me.
So it's after an experimental procedure successfully removes his facial tumors from
Neurofibromatosis.
Say it again, Ro.
Neurofibromatosis.
Yes.
Interesting fun fact about that is, I was on this medical TV show called Take My Tumor. And while I didn't treat a patient with that, one of the other surgeons who was part of the show treated someone with these amazingly disfiguring neurofibromatosis. So it's an interesting episode to check on. It was on TLC, Take My Tumor. You should watch that just to see that patient, but then skip through all of that surgeon stuff and just watch the stuff that I'm in.
No, I was actually going to reference Take My Tumor, and I didn't remember if you had treated someone with that.
Not on that particular episode, but okay. But I have treated people with neurofibromatosis. In fact, one of my very favorite patients who I took care of for a long time but haven't seen, so I'm not sure her whereabouts, was a patient like that with neurofibromatosis all over the body. Not as disfiguring as this patient on the TV show, but such a lovely patient who I loved, and who I'd taken care of for years and done other surgeries on. Okay.
Well, so maybe we should see this movie.
Yeah.
So they had an actor who actually had this disease. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah. Critics called the film unsettling, absurdist, and chaotic. So what happens is Edward, the main character, who's played by Sebastian Stan, is approached to have his life adapted into a play. Soon, however, he finds himself upstaged by an actor with the same condition. So it's like so it's like a flip, but they actually have an actor with this condition, and I think that's awesome.
Yeah, no, maybe we should watch it. Text it to me after to remind me to look it up.
Okay, yeah. But I was thinking about the show Take My Tumor when I was watching a trailer.
In the trailer, yeah, exactly.
Okay. The next one that critics liked with a bit of medical spin is called The Substance. I feel like...
I didn't see that either, no.
You know what? It's Demi Moore, Margaret Qualley. Is that how you say it? Yeah, Qualley.
I can't say that name.
Andie MacDowell's daughter.
Ah,
all right. So that one's about trying to be young. It's Demi Moore is persuaded into trying an experimental drug that allows her to revert into a younger self.
Ooh, interesting.
Played by Andie MacDowell's daughter. And then, however, the drug side effects become increasingly grotesque. So I think you can handle.
Yeah. But it's not a scary movie. It's just yucky, right? Because we don't like scary movies, you and I.
We don't like yucky, but apparently, I don't know how gross it gets. I don't know what side effects happen to her, but apparently it gets really gross.
Ooh. What's funny? We just showed our kids the trailer of The Fly. The Jeff Goldblum movie, The Fly. Did you see that movie?
Yes.
And while it's not like that happens to him too. He gets disgusting and gets powers and everything. So we just literally watched that trailer this week. It just made me think of that.
So your kids just watched it?
No, we watched the trailer together. We were just we spent an hour watching trailers trying to figure out what to watch. And then eventually we're like, let's just go to bed.
You're trying to find holiday movies?
Definitely not with The Fly. We were just trying to find something to watch. You know what we wound up watching? It was just this week. We wound up watching Saturday Night Fever, of all movies, which is, have you seen it? John Travolta, Saturday Night Fever?
I know what it is. I think I watched parts of it.
Yes. It's a disturbing movie. I forgot how disturbing. There's a lot of. It's a disturbing movie, and it's so not PC. It's such a. I mean, the music is amazing, and he's great, and the dancing is fun, but it's a pretty disturbing movie, which you don't even think about when you think Saturday Night Fever. Yeah, it sounds light, but it's not. It's definitely not a light movie. No way. No way.
I know what you're talking about. There's one scene in particular. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a lot of yuckiness. Yeah.
Well, one that's not supposed to be yucky that's on the critics list is Inside Out 2. You seen that one?
Did you see it?
No, but that one just medically is about to do with anxiety. They have a new character, anxiety, played
Yeah,
by Maya Hawke from
yeah.
Stranger Things.
I we saw in the theaters Inside Out 1 with friends and everything, and I didn't love the movie. I don't know. I didn't love Inside Out 1. I don't know why. And I normally really like animated movies and things like that, but I didn't love that movie. So because of that, Inside Out 2 is not on my list. I apologize,
Interesting.
Inside
All
Outers. Yeah.
right, that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. The other two movies I'd watch, but Inside Out, just not really on my list.
All right. Well, moving on to TV. There's so much. Favorite
Yes.
show, Take My Tumor, starring my favorite doctor, Dr. Jason Cohen.
Thank you. Best show ever.
Well, I mean, I know you probably talked about it with Allie a little bit, but can
We
you
didn't
give,
talk that much, but yeah. Mm-hmm.
is it coming back? Is there anything you can tell me?
The only thing I can tell you is not a thing. No, I can tell you everything about it. The funny thing about a lot of funny things about being on a TV show is that we filmed it so far in advance to when it actually came out, and I wasn't really allowed to talk about it. And by the time it came out, everybody thought it was happening, but it had happened like a year before that, which was a pretty interesting thing. And as people know, with movies and TV shows, they're often filmed way in advance. So that was an interesting fun fact. The really depressing thing about being on a TV show for me was one of my favorite things about being in the OR is listening to fun music and even maybe singing along to the music, especially when things are light. Well, guess what? You cannot listen to music and film it and put it on TV or movie unless that music, you buy the rights to the song. So unless you're listening to like generic old stuff that has no, copyright issues, I couldn't listen to music. So I was so depressed. Like I'm there having to think of my own, like listen to my thoughts in my head. And so that was really upsetting and disappointing, and surprising. So that was weird. That was no music, because had we listened to music, they would have been like, yeah, we can't use that footage.
I never thought about that for you. I mean, like, yeah, that's how you do surgery. And like, I like certain noise when I work too. Like it's got to be something I know or something,
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I don't like listening to my own thoughts in my head. That's terrible.
Not during surgery, no. But we were listening to really fun 80s new wave stuff in the OR, and it was great. But we couldn't listen to any music during the TV show, which was really bizarre. The only time I could is when they're like, okay, we got enough footage, now you can listen to some music, but that was only like at the end kind of thing of each surgery. I think the whole thing was maybe 5 or 6 episodes, of which I think I was only featured in 2 or 3 of them. And I really wasn't the major surgeon. I was kind of the second guy. And people told me they enjoyed it, and we watched. It was kind of fun. And as far as I'm concerned now, I think it's one and done, unfortunately. I mean, there's a chance, you never know. I'd love to get a phone call saying, let's shoot some more, but it doesn't seem like that's going to happen. The fun thing is occasionally, someone will say to me, hey, I saw you on TV. And, that was kind of fun. And in fact, today in the OR nurse said to me, are you still filming your show?
Yeah.
Like, no, thinking it's still going on.
Well, people need more than that amount of episodes. So
yeah. We'll see. Who knows?
Yeah.
I'm available, anybody, if you want.
Well, I mean, the coolest part was seeing how the doctors on the show, including you, changed these people's lives like dramatically.
Yeah, that was pretty fun. One of the patients couldn't even sit. The one who had it on her butt, like it'd be uncomfortable for her to sit, and uncomfortable for so many other reasons. So getting that one out, was great. And a lot of it is self-esteem stuff too, which is pretty amazing.
Yeah. So I think that's what the movie A Different Man is about, but we'll find out. Any other TV shows that you really liked this year?
Yeah, there are a bunch. I'm embarrassed that it's taking me so long to get through The Bear. I still haven't finished the final season. The reason is, unfortunately, my wife, Bernice, shout out, Master Injector, didn't really love it. So I'm kind of watching it on my own. So I only watch it if I'm alone, which isn't that often when I'm home watching it. But I really like The Bear. I like, I find certain episodes are disturbing, but I really like the whole cooking vibe, and the characters are great. So I'm enjoying that.
Okay.
Did you see The Bear?
I did. Season 3 was my least favorite season, but I love The Bear.
Yeah. And I heard part of it is a lot of people told me they didn't love season 3. So I think because of that, I had low expectations. So I'm enjoying it kind of more because my expectations are low. The only thing is interesting, medical thing is the girlfriend was she a resident? I think a medical student or a resident.
Oh, yeah, there's a medical angle there. You're right.
Yeah, there's a medical angle there too. And she was so busy and everything. So far, I haven't seen her in season 3. Does she pop back up in season 3? I mean, I've seen her in flashbacks.
She does. And it's actually like a little hospital scene.
Ooh, so. Okay. So I'm looking forward to that. So, but that was an interesting thing about having, the medical chef relationship. I thought that was kind of interesting.
I like that. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah. What about other TV shows for you?
So we talked about how I don't like Marvel, and so this is going to seem weird that one of my favorite shows was DC, I guess. The Penguin, whatever.
Yeah.
Only because my brother told me to watch it, who really never watches DC or Marvel things. And he said it was more mafia, and it was so dark, but Colin Farrell is so good. Like, It's one of those shows I can't stop thinking about because he was so good, and it's disturbing.
That's amazing. Everybody is saying that. So we have to put it on our list. And I'm a superhero fan. I'm a superhero geek. I love all that stuff. So although I don't love the Batman. Batman's one of my least. That whole world is one of my least favorite in general. I was a big comic book kid growing up, believe it or not, and Batman was kind of one of my least favorites of all the comic books. So,
but he's not in it at all.
No, I know. But the Penguin was kind of. But yeah, everybody's saying it's amazing. So we'll have to watch. We definitely have to watch it.
Yeah, and then as far as critics, they put like best of a lot of them like Shogun, which I really like too.
Yeah, I like Shogun. Yeah, I saw that too. I forgot about that. And I don't know, I'm old enough to have watched the original Shogun. Did you see the original Shogun?
No, but my parents were talking about that too. Right. So I had to look it up.
It's like Stranger Things. Everybody's waiting for that to come back, but at some point it'll hopefully come back. I'm waiting for that.
I know. It's so long.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, one of my favorite medical shows that I watched is St. Denis Medical. I think it's pretty funny. Have you been catching up with that?
Yeah, we watched a couple episodes. I thought it was pretty fun and funny and silly. I'm not necessarily caught up, but it's definitely a fun, silly show. Are you all caught up with it?
Yeah, there's only been 5 episodes, and they're like 3 minutes.
Yeah,
so, yeah. But I wanted to tell you this quick little thing they said about the show. They said that many of the props are real decommissioned medical equipment, and many of the background actors are former medical professionals. That it's like the easiest, cheapest way to do it. But then a lot of like the medical staff that was like on the show like kept saying like, "Oh my God, these stethoscopes are so expensive. Can you believe they have like 6 of them in one shot?" And they were like commenting on all the equipment. Have you ever noticed that in like medical shows, how expensive equipment would be? Like how? Okay.
No, I've never paid attention to that. That's funny, but now maybe I'll try to pay attention. Although that was one of the things about the episode is the woman got this fancy mammogram thing, that's really expensive, and that was kind of a funny, it was like a third-rate hospital, but she's trying to get this ridiculously expensive, crazy piece of technology that's just out of their league, and then it blew the hospital's electricity out. So that was kind of funny.
Well, so on other end of that, is there equipment that you want that like the hospital won't get?
You know what's the most ridiculous thing? Headlights. You know, we put a headlight on top of our head to light up the surgery, and hospitals have crazy expensive other things, but they often don't have really good headlights, or the headlights are broken, or there are only so many of them and not enough, or you have to go chase them down. And you would think, yeah, the headlight's not a cheap thing, but compared to like the other stuff, so that always surprises me. The other funny thing about headlights is, how there's like the light cord to the headlight. It could just be dangling, but rather than have it dangling, it's sometimes nice so it doesn't get stuck, is you get this kind of clip, the same kind of clip that goes around an ID badge, and you clip it to the back of your scrubs. They don't have enough of those clips, they don't have those, and like that's like a 3-cent piece of something, and I'm always hunting for the clip, so much so that I've gotten to the point where I don't even wear the clip, but now it'll sometimes pull. But I even stopped searching for the 2-cent clip, which is just ridiculous.
It's the cheap things disappear, huh?
Sometimes, yeah. Or they use them for ID badges, I guess. I don't know. It's the same clip.
Yeah. Well, in St. Denis Medical, I would never notice, but apparently like nurses are writing in about how nice their like stethoscopes are, or how nice their stuff that they use in the offices. I'm like, oh, interesting catch.
Interesting. Other interesting fun fact is I saw there's a new show coming out. Did we talk about it with Noah Wyle? We'll have to review that.
No, that was like the last thing I wanted to talk about. Like,
so talk about it. Talk about it now, and because I have my own thing.
We're talking about the best of, and then like moving forward, what we're going to be talking about.
Are we done with the best of?
I think we're done. I mean,
we're ready to move forward.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's move forward.
Yes, 2025. There's 2 medical shows that are coming out. One is called The Pitt, starring Noah Wyle.
Yeah.
On all at least 15 seasons of ER. I'm not sure how many seasons they actually had, but
he was the OG.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's going to be in a new show called The Pitt. It's about a hospital in Pittsburgh.
Is that why it's called The Pitt?
So.
Okay. So the only thing I know about that show is we're giving a shout out to Mariano, who we love, we miss, who is doing our social media, who's an actor, who was in Gran Turismo. He auditioned. So the reason I know about that show is he actually auditioned for a role on that show. And I think he would have been great. So I ran some lines. I went over a couple of his audition scenes with him for his audition, and I gave him some notes about stuff, but maybe I gave crappy notes because he didn't get cast in the show.
Oh, he would have been great, I'm sure.
He would have been amazing. Yeah. So that's how I knew about the show, because he told me all about the show and Noah Wyle, yada, yada, yada. So that's, but yeah, we'll have to definitely watch that show for sure and tear it apart since they didn't cast him.
Well, if it gets picked up, maybe they have more roles. Maybe they'll consider him in the future.
True that.
But so I didn't know if it was ever going to come out, because there was like a lawsuit with Michael Crichton's wife. He created ER. So his wife was like suing, because I guess this show went into development right after a reboot of ER died. Right. But now it's coming out in January. So I guess, I don't know if that means everything's okay, but.
Or they settled. Yeah. It definitely looks like another version of ER, doesn't it?
Yeah. I mean, it does. Anything else you want to say?
I have a whole lot of books that I'm planning on reading I went to the bookstore to buy, because we did one in the office. So I got books for, I had Dr. Gordon, one of our partners, who's been a guest on Gross Anatomy. So I got him some books, but then I bought myself like a zillion books. Like, I love bookstores. That's one of my favorite things. So, all right. Is there anything else do we want to talk about, Lauren Taylor?
No, we just got a lot to look forward to next year.
A lot of good stuff. I wish everybody, though, a happy, a healthy, a safe, a peaceful, a meaningful, and successful end of year and beginning of a new year, too.
Me too.
Thanks. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Thanks for being with us on Gross Anatomy.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.